And how much of that 1,300 does housing subsidize?
They pay the entire thing.
So she's zero.
She's zero.
And you're also stating that she wasn't doing the water bill and never got everything transferred over. I see that, but y'all were paying for his water. And that was also not in compliance with your lease.
So the utilities were not on in my name. She turned my water off February 19th. It was extremely cold outside. I had to pretty much reach out to a family member, a church, all sorts of different organizations to get help so that me and my children could have water. I'm pregnant and I have 2 kids at this point. I had to do what I had. Like I said, I had to reach out to different organizations to get the water turned back on because at this point I felt like she was being spiteful.
The plaintiff in today's case, Neighbor Works, filed a petition in my court indicating that you, Miss Stevenson, violated the terms of your lease by not paying rent. So without further ado, to you, Miss Sharp, the address in question and the tenant in question, Miss Stevenson at 905 Calumet. Are you all receiving any subsidized income from Waco Housing Authority or any other entity that is involved with TDHCA?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, you know you had to comply with the CARES Act.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Sharp, you can proceed with the case against the defendant.
We originally filed a petition for the 3 lease violation. We knew that we were waiting on payments from Waco Housing Authority, and then we did start receiving those payments, but Miss Stevenson still has a balance of $768.61.
Initially, whenever you all gave her the notice to vacate, it's for lease violation.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the last notice to vacate, you gave to the tenant. This notice to vacate, how was it given to her?
One in February, we emailed and then taped to the outside of her door. Her keyless deadbolts were locked, so we were unable to tape it on the inside.
Did you mail it?
Yes, we always mail, email, and then tape on the inside if we can.
You sent her the same notice via regular mail on February 19th.
Yes, sir.
According to this one, you are swearing to me that you have reason to violate the lease by having an unauthorized occupant and smoking in the dwelling as well as utilities and service. So she never transferred the utilities to her name in accordance with your lease.
Yes, sir.
How much is her total monthly rent?
Her total monthly rent is $1,300.
And how much of that 1,300 does housing subsidize?
They pay the entire thing.
So she's zero.
She's zero, except for her move-in cost and utilities.
So this $768.61, what is it comprised of?
She moved in December 4th, and housing did not start paying until December 16th.
So whenever she moved in, was she already on housing?
She moved in through a different service. It was an emergency voucher. What they did was pay for her deposit to move in and her application fee.
And then housing kicked in on the 16th.
Yes, sir.
So they paid you all the remaining $780.
For the 16th through the rest of the month. Yes, sir.
Okay, the rest of the month. And then they were paying every month thereafter. But what you're saying is that she didn't pay that $520, which you're saying $481.39. Your grounds for eviction was due to these other violations.
Yes, sir.
So you're wanting to collect the $481.39 and as well as you want her evicted from the property for not being in compliance with your lease.
Yes, sir.
And you also stated that she wasn't doing the water bill and never got everything transferred over. I see that, but y'all were paying for his water. And that was also not in compliance with your lease. And I do see the payments that were made, $1,300, and then there was a bulk payment of $4,593. Okay, Ms. Stevenson, here's your opportunity to tell me why you feel like you shouldn't be evicted.
I moved in, a victim of crime, when me and my 2 children, she knew about all this. I come in, I was looking for a place to stay. I was interested in her property, so I had to come in the office, of course, and, fill out an application. I showed her my paperwork from me being a crime victim. They have so much compensation to help, mothers of crime. I had no funds at all to my name. I was dead broke. So crime victims is who I was waiting on, basically, to pay my deposit for my water, pay my light, and help. In other words, she knew about this. But my lease violations come from her and the maintenance guy basically come in and together, and she had come in 2 or 3 times prior to her smelling weed. All of a sudden, she smelled weed like the third. She didn't mention it to the 3rd or 4th time that she had come into my home that she smelled it. I did then let her know that I did not smoke. know. And then I did have a family member that was there because one day my children, this is where the unauthorized occupant come from, because she said that she saw a resident there with a key get into my home. I don't know why I wouldn't be able to give anyone an emergency key. I have sickly kids. My son is very sick, asthmatic. He's always in and out of the hospital. So of course a family member had an extra key to get into my home because I was at the hospital with my son and my daughter had to be picked up off the bus. I honestly was never even able to like go into detail or explain. I had one of my aunt reach out to like several of different people about it because I was not being heard. How my housing caseworker was not trying to hear me. She basically told me that whatever my landlord said, they had to run with it, which I did not feel like that was a fair thing. I reached out to whoever was over neighborhood work that was over her. She even pulled me and Miss Sharp in a room together for us to talk, and I was not being heard again. So I removed myself, and now I'm just kind of dealing with the eviction. So the utilities were not on in my name. She turned my water off February 19th. It was extremely cold outside.
You said who turned the water off?
Miss Caitlin Sharp called the company to get the water turned off on me and my children. So February 19th, we had no water. I had to pretty much reach out to a family member, a church, all sorts of different organizations to get help so that me and my children could have water. I'm pregnant and I have 2 kids at this point. I had to do what I had. Like I said, I had to reach out to different organizations to get the water turned back on because at this point I felt like she was being spiteful. And that's kind of all I have to say about it.
Going back to the smoke, said her and the maintenance personnel came into your apartment and they claimed they smelled marijuana.
Yes, after like the 3rd time of being in my home. Yes, sir. It was mentioned like the 3rd time after they had been in my home because they had already been in my home prior. So my question was, why was it not mentioned prior? That's something you tell somebody prior and not give them a. So she said it basically, and that was my only warning and final thing. Basically, is what I'm getting at.
Okay, but are you is there any truth?
But I don't smoke. No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
So
No, sir.
you weren't smoking, and none of your
I don't have a boyfriend or anything that like it's literally just me and my 2 children. No one lives with me at all. Can I say something else? Or when I moved in, I brought in my paperwork for the crime victim situation, and I pretty much explained to them that that's what the money that I was pretty much waiting on because I was dead broke. She was pretty much aware of how damn bad I was at that situation. She was willing to help up until I guess I got so far behind in my rent, and then that's kind of where all this. I personally feel like all the chaos was coming from because she was personally not getting paid on a different type of level, I guess.
So you moved in December. You didn't get the opportunity to transfer the utilities into your name until February.
Yes, sir.
Well, your services were disconnected. Did they give you any notice that they had plans on which I'm just going to, in our reality, I'm going to say they shouldn't have cut your water off?
Yes, sir.
It's a big no.
However, she did tell me December and January, I believe both. Yes, she did let me know that if I did not get them switched over, that they were going to be turned off. However, I feel like so once they were not switched over by February 1st, that would have been a more reasonable time to cut it and not in the middle of the month while it was freezing cold outside.
They stated that they provided a document that said in January you damaged property. Did y'all talk about that? Was the damage to the property? What is the
damage to the property that she's saying is smoke. She's saying that because there was marijuana smoke in there, then there's damage to the property. I'm guessing within a while. I don't know, Judge. I'm guessing that's the damage because of the smoke on the walls or however they put it. I'm not sure.
Okay. Is that what the reason why, Ms. Sharp, you put damage to the property because of smoke in the walls?
Yes, sir.
And you she said that you and the maintenance personnel, y'all went into the property for an inspection or whatever, and that's when y'all smelled the marijuana?
So I've only actually been to that property once. We do quarterly filter changes. The maintenance man was there prior or after her maintenance request that she put in. I was not there. But yes, I did graduate and get a certificate from the Waco Crime Free program. I am certified to smell marijuana and see other types of drugs or paraphernalia. So I am certified in that. There's definitely marijuana smoke in the home.
Did you all see any residue of drugs, anything inside the unit?
I didn't see any residue, just smelled.
So you gave her 2 notices in February, one for the utilities and the other one for the other lease violations, unauthorized guests. Tell me what with the unauthorized guests, Ms. Sharp, give me a little more information why you put that in that notice to vacate.
So while me and the maintenance man were there doing our quarterly filter change, men was there undressed, only in shorts. And then we 100 118 properties all across Waco. We were driving by and that same man was noticed with a key entering the home. After those two visualizations, that's when she received the unoccupant violation.
So you went to change the filters, saw a man, there's the shirts off, socks off, whatever, and just had shorts on, like he was relaxing, staying there.
Yes, sir.
And then as you went in, and then the second time, y'all were just driving through, checking your properties visually outside, and you saw the same man, the key to go inside of this particular unit.
Yes, sir.
That is why you said, you know what? He's an unauthorized guest.
That's correct.
Can I speak or?
No, go ahead, Miss Short.
First time she come over, there was a guy there. The same guy that she's speaking on is my cousin. Well, I know he probably can't attend, but he was never ever there, Nate, because he never spent the night, never anything. So that's not correct. He was never ever there, Nate. Never a guy ever there, Nate. He was fully dressed because we were moving into the home when they first came out. He was fully dressed, and I was, as a matter of fact, we were in my living room. I know exactly what she's talking about. He had full clothes on. He had a beer sitting next to him beside the couch. I was hanging up little things around my home, but he was fully clothed. He definitely had clothes on because, like I said, he a boyfriend of mine or anything of that nature. He's family.
So first of all, I want to make sure I explain to both. In the state of Texas, when it comes to civil cases, it's up to the plaintiff to provide proof to me that the defendant did something wrong. And it's by preponderance of evidence. So if I take a scale and I put it's 50-50, 50 on one side, 50 on the other. And this is the sad part about civil cases. Sad. This pen right here weighs about an ounce or less than that. I put this pen on this side, barely ticks. She gave you proper notice to vacate. She said she mailed it. She said that you violated the terms of the lease, which not your fault in regards to utility. I know you're going through a lot. And I know you didn't have the funds because my mother was a victim of domestic violence. And we didn't have nothing. It's in the shelter. So I know you didn't have the money. And I still got a will in her favor because she filed the case. She provided proof that she gave you notice to vacate. And her accusations are the reason why she gave you the notices. Now, here's the thing, Ms. Stevenson. You have the right to appeal my decision. And my judgment is just going to be for property only. Because I honestly, she waited until February or even March to say something about the money. She should have said something about that in January. Going to be a judgment against you, but it's just going to be for property and court costs. With that being said, you, Ms. Stevenson, you have the right to appeal my decision. Appealing my decision means that you disagree with my decision for ruling in favor for the plaintiff. Okay. And again, I had to do it based on a preponderance of evidence. If you choose to appeal my decision, Lord, your appeal bond is going to be $500. If you cannot afford the appeal bond, call Lone Star Legal Aid. They can help you with appealing the case without paying a bond. That's if you want to appeal this case. Again, appealing it means you disagree and you have more proof. So if you want to provide more proof that you didn't provide today, witness testimony or witnesses, you want to call your cousin in and call whoever you want to call. And if you want to provide an expert that shows that you had been smoking weed, you can take a blood test, the whole 9 yards. If you want to provide your proof, you can do that at the next level. So if you didn't have enough proof today, you have the opportunity to provide that proof to the county court of law judge. So here's the thing. You got 6 days to either appeal or move out. Judgment favor for the plaintiff, property.